The purpose of today's recording is to explain to you how to do the first two steps of the Career Interest Project. Now at this point you've already looked on O-Net and printed off some job summary reports for jobs that you might like to do. So today we're going to use an example, and I'm going to teach you how to do step 1, selective highlighting. The example that I'm using is for a graphic designer. So here I would write graphic designer. Notice that the step 1 tells you to find the task list on the job summary report. The task list says tasks and it's a bulleted list. When you find that list, you're going to highlight the action verbs and the repeated words and the synonyms that appear on that list, and I'll show you that in a minute. Notice that you get a grade for your highlighting. You want to focus on just highlighting words, maybe a few words together, but really just single words for this task. And you want to decide what's important. If you have no highlighting, or if you highlight entire bulleted lines, like an entire sentence, then that is not selective highlighting, so you would not get credit for that. Let's go ahead and do this step first, and I'll show you what to do. So what I've done here, I've taken the bulleted task list from a graphic designer, and I have enlarged it and put it onto this slide. So when you do selective highlighting, sometimes it's helpful to actually read backwards. So if you have the graphic designer paper in front of you, you could actually cover over the task list with another piece of paper and pull from right to left, the opposite way that you would read, and look for the repeated words that way. If you try to look at the entire document at one time, it's really too many words to look at. So if you cover over some of them and then read up and down, you'll be able to see the words that are repeated a little bit at a time. Okay. I see the word layout. That's the first repeated word I see. When you're looking for repeated words, you do not need to highlight and or the. Pretty much words that are fewer than 3 letters are probably not going to bear the load of the content, so you don't need to highlight them. It takes a little bit of practice, and sometimes I have to do this a few times myself, because I'll miss things the first couple times I do them. It also helps to have a partner to help you notice. Now look, I've already highlighted layout 4 times, and I'm only halfway through. Illustrative and illustrations are not the exact same word, but they pretty much mean the same thing, or they refer to the same thing. The word ending is different. Sometimes we call that a derivative. I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. I see material. See, it gets a little tough when you get this far into it, because now you have a whole bunch of words to look at, and you're constantly going back and forth, back and forth. There's layout again. Design, concepts, size, layouts, illustrations, computer, client, client. Okay, I'll read through that again and make sure I didn't miss any. I also told you, besides repeated words, to look for the action words. So on this assignment, it's very easy because the action words pretty much come at the beginning of the task list. You're looking at verbs: create, determine, confer, develop, review, prepare, use. Key, in this case, means keyboard. Maintain, prepare. Discuss, determine. Suggest. These are actions. Remember that our goal is to actually write a summary with the selective highlighting. By selective highlighting, we're going to decide what is most important, and then we're going to take that information, put it in our brains, organize it, put like ideas together, and create a summary with that information. So if your goal is to write a summary of what a graphic designer does, it stands to reason that you would highlight the verbs that show what a graphic designer does. Alright, I might have missed a few, but you get the idea. This is probably a good start. On this slide, what you'll see that I've done, I have taken the highlighted words and I separated them into individual little boxes that I can manipulate. We did this in class, and we actually cut these words up from a table like this. Now, all the red words are verbs, they're the action words, and all the black words are nouns. The black words are the repeated words for the most part. Now what you have to do, now that you've highlighted information, is you have to put it inside your brain, and you have to put like ideas together. Otherwise, these words don't mean anything, and if you were to try to write a summary with them, they wouldn't be organized in any way. So we're going to put like ideas together, and we're going to start with the word create. So you can look through your word list, looking only at the red words first, the verbs, and decide what else is like create, prepare, develop. Those words, even though they don't mean the exact same thing, they're related. So we're going to put them in a group. Now we're going to go to the word use. And remember, we're looking for words that are like the word use. Not necessarily the exact same, but that are like it. Well, if I'm going to use something, I have to determine what to use. I have to determine is like select. So a graphic designer might have to select something, determine it, and select it, and then use it. And we have this word maintain. And we have to decide, well, maintain is not really the same as creating something. Selecting and determining is not really maintaining. Using is not really maintaining. So if this word doesn't really fit with our other groups, and you can't perceive that it's going to fit somewhere, you can just throw that word in the trash. Your brain has got to decide, is this sort of a peripheral idea or an extra idea, or is it important enough to keep? If I can't decide it doesn't relate to my other words, I'm just going to throw it in the garbage. So we're not going to use that word. We're going to take our last word group, and we're going to make it go around the word discuss. Well, discuss is kind of like suggest, and review, and confer means to have a conference with, to discuss. So discuss, suggest, review, confer, these words are all related to each other. They don't all mean the exact same thing, but they're related, so that becomes a group. So now you can see we have 3 word groups. One around creating, one around selecting, determining, and using, and one around discussing. Now our last red word is key. The key means to keyboard something. So we have to decide, is this, well, keyboarding something is not like preparing or creating it. Well, I guess it could be preparing, but I don't know. It's not really like selecting. It's not really reviewing. So I'm going to put that in the garbage. I just don't want to use it. My brain says these ideas are not as important as these ideas. So I'm going to trash them. Now we have to take the black words and we have to decide, where do these words go? Okay? This is the invisible process that happens in your brain when you read something and highlight. First you find what's important and then you organize that information inside your head. So let me start with the word layout, because that came up 7 times in the selective highlighting. Well, a graphic designer probably prepares or creates a layout, so we'll put that there. A concept, that could go there. You prepare or create some kind of a concept. Designs, that makes sense. See, illustrations, you could create an illustration. You don't create clients or computers. Well, that doesn't make sense. Okay, select, determine, and use. Well, you probably use a computer, and you probably select and determine size. That makes sense. And you probably confer or review and discuss with clients and supervisors. So now our black nouns are paired up with our red action verbs. Some words on your sort here, word sort, could go in more than one place. Like you could say you select and determine illustrations. Oh, yeah, that's true. You could say that you confer and review and discuss concepts. I like that. I think I'll put that there. Okay, some of these words are interchangeable. They could go more than one place. But the one that was the most important that came up 7 times was layout. And since layout is so important, I figured that's really like the principal thing that a graphic designer does. It came up 7 times. So I'm going to put that at the top because it seems most important. Now we have to take these words we've sorted out and we have to decide how we're going to write a summary with them. Keep in mind we threw away key and maintain. Okay, when you write a summary for this particular project, you're going to organize it or structure it in this way. Who, does what, how, and why. If you write a summary that follows that model, then your summaries can't go wrong. Well, they could go wrong, but hopefully they won't. Okay, so we have our first word group, create, prepare, develop, layout, illustrations, designs. That word group makes sense under the does what category. Who, graphic designer, does what? They create, they prepare, and develop layouts, illustrations, and designs. How do they do it? All right, now our second word group, determine, use, select, computer, and size. If I had to copy them right over like I did here, all the red words and all the black words, it's not going to make sense. Determine, use, select, computer, size. Doesn't make as much sense. So I'm going to reorder my words. Use a computer, determine, and select the size of something. Okay, I'm going to group my words together this way. And then I'm going to put them in. Oops, wrong place. To the how. How does a graphic designer create, prepare, and develop illustrations? Well, they do it by determining and selecting the size of something and using a computer. Now my last word group, review, discuss, suggest, confer, clients, supervisor, concepts. I have to decide, is this the order I want to copy these words in? Well, I don't know. I like this okay. Review, discuss, suggest, confer. But what am I reviewing? I'm reviewing the concepts. With whom? The clients and supervisors. So I'm going to put the words in this order. And then I'm going to paste them here under the why. Remember that your summary is going to try to tell your reader who does what, how, and why for that particular job. Now all you have to do is take this pre-writing and write your summary for a graphic designer. And on your project, I'll show you where that where that is. We just modeled together the invisible process that happens in your brain when you highlight something, plan out what you're going to say by organizing like ideas together, and then you would independently write your rough draft right here. Now you'll notice it says that you need to do revision and proofreading. I don't want you to go on to a final draft of the summary until I've seen this draft first. That way, if you need revisions, you need to change the content or the structure of the writing, I can give you that suggestion. Or if you need to proofread, I can show you the proofreader marks on where you need to add or make corrections on the proofreading. So to review, when you have your independent job task list that you have to start with for your project, you're going to do what we did and do the selective highlighting, action verbs, repeated words, and words that mean the same thing, synonyms. Then you're going to take those words and you're going to sort them out, either physically by writing them on little papers and cutting them up and sorting them out like we did, or in your head, and you're going to put the like ideas together on this pre-writing table. Then you're going to take that and you're going to write your rough draft of your summary. Who does what, how, and why. Then you're going to let me see that, and once you get approval, then you write your summary in its final draft right here. Hope that helps, and good luck.